This is a Hope 1032 podcast.
Humans aren't in the food chain of sharks. Yeah, so sharks use a bite as a sensory mechanism to determine what something is.
Okay,
right. A white shark would just come in and bite and then think, no, I'm not interested in that, and move off. But unfortunately, it could be like a really catastrophic fight.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Bull sharks are like rabid dogs of the ocean. They are really aggressive and will come back and back and again in an attack. So.
Right.
Welcome to She Wasn't Born Yesterday, the pod that fearlessly chats about all things affecting us ladies who are 40 plus fabulous.
Well, and the guys that want to know what we think.
Well, them too. I'm Janet Evans, advertising creative.
And I'm Jenny Woodhouse, semi-retired social worker.
In other words, you're busier than ever. We're J&J and we're super thrilled you're with us for She Wasn't Born Yesterday. Gorgeous. It was a bad summer for shark attacks, let's face it. Is that the understatement of the year?
That's the understatement of the year.
I think it is, because in just 2 days in January this year, there were 4 shark attacks in New South Wales, which resulted in some critical injuries and, unfortunately, the tragic death of a beautiful 12-year-old boy called Nico Antic.
Yeah.
It also followed 2 fatal shark attacks in late 25. So this is the highest annual death toll in the state since 1955.
Oh, my goodness. So what are we
great
talking,
record.
75 years, 70 years?
My maths is not good.
Yeah.
You should know better than to talk to me.
Sorry about that.
But a long time.
Yeah.
And it made international news, not just local news, which is pretty unusual. So, but when shark attacks happen, and especially a young boy, there's always this really emotional reaction, I feel, and always a call for shark culling. But how does shark culling work? And is it the answer? Should we do it? And is it the only or best way to keep people safe in the ocean?
All excellent questions.
Today we take a deep dive into the topic. We're chatting with the 40-plus fabulous CEO of Surf Lifesaving New South Wales, Steve Pearce. Welcome to She Wasn't Born Yesterday.
Welcome, Steve.
Well, thank you. Welcome. And hello, ladies.
We know you're not a she, but you are a he.
Yes.
But he wasn't born yesterday.
In your case, 30-plus fabulous, I think.
Oh,
that would
thank
be
you.
more appropriate.
You could probably go 60 plus fabulous.
Well, you had a bit of a tough job over summer because we saw you on the news quite a lot, and you were talking out about the sort of washout, I guess you could say, after all of these attacks. But we know that this Vaucluse victim in particular, Nico Antic,
The young fellow.
particularly devastated, I think, every parent. Like the kid who had everything ahead of him will never have his 18th birthday, hold up those sports trophies, get his P plates, graduate. How does this kind of news impact you personally?
Well, I probably, if I can deflect your question, I'll say, how does it impact the club? So,
Right.
you are right. So there were 4 attacks over a couple of days. One that resulted in really serious injuries at North Stain, where we actually had lifesavers there in the clubhouse and saw the attack, and they were able to render immediate first aid, which saved the gentleman's life with some bystanders. But then, unfortunately, with young Nico, Nico was a young lifesaver from North Bondi Surf Club.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And Nico, is a gorgeous young guy, real up-and-coming lifesaver, and parents affiliated with the clubs. Really devastating for the club because the club, both Bondi and North Bondi, were coming off the back of the Bondi attack shootings.
Right.
Of course.
We had over 80 lifesavers that were directly involved in the shooting. So we had so much trauma already that we were dealing with within the club. And then following 4 spates of shark bite incidents and the death of Nico, really reverberated right across the clubs, but also more generally life-saving. The loss of any life is devastating. And when you talk about a young child, and we all can, most people can relate to that, it does have horrific, outcomes and everlasting outcomes. And I'd have to say that this summer has been the busiest and most traumatic summer that I've seen in 10 years here. I've also been the CEO, either with shark attacks, the Bondi shootings, or we just had a spate of really tragic drownings as well.
Oh, my goodness. Okay.
It seems that drownings are a familiar theme through summer, isn't it, in Australia? What do you think is behind the drownings? I know we're here to talk about shark culling, but drownings is mystifying to me because when beaches aren't patrolled or people aren't swimming between the flags, you really are taking your life in your hands, aren't you?
So it's, and when people, they hear about the drowning toll, they think, oh, geez, I didn't think there were so many people that would lose their life along the coast. And because it's so sporadic, people don't really register on people's attention. But when you aggregate them all together, like last year, there were around 60 coastal drowning deaths. This year, we're well over 40 already.
Wow.
Half of those are related directly to like rip-related drownings. The rest are like rock fishing, boating accidents, and a bit of misadventure as well. So we respond as lifesavers. We go to every one of them. Lifesavers continuously see the best on the coastline, and also they see the worst.
Absolutely. Now, we are going to get on to sharks, but I just have a question about who's looking after the lifesavers.
Yes, good question.
Yeah, so we pleasingly have a really robust welfare psychological support framework. And we have to do this because on average, we probably are involved in around 4,500 rescues every year.
Whoa.
We talk about drownings, but it's the near drownings that are extremely traumatic. And we go to dozens and dozens. So every weekend, a CPR will be being conducted somewhere along the New South Wales coastline by lifesavers.
Right. Yeah.
So we look after the psychological welfare of our lifesavers. We've got 22,000 that's down on the front line, and it's really important for us to do that.
Yeah. Yep.
Steve, I know you've deflected the question, but honestly, how do you react when you hear a story in the news or someone calls you and says, "Hey, Steve, it's happened again"?
Yeah, I'm on a special chat group with other government agencies and officials, and so here with our State Operations Centre, we are the first notification. So we know right from the inception of an incident occurring. When I get that page or the text message, I think, "Oh my goodness, not again!" And over that December period with this spate of shark incidents, just no one could believe it. Every time a notification, we knew it was going to be something bad. And I think vicariously you do take the trauma on because that's just your job. But it's again, we look after lifesavers and the lifesavers look after us as well. So
Yeah.
But I think we all saw, like in the media, there was a lot of emotions surrounding all of this, and always that call for culling. Even the ex-Prime Minister, Tony Abbott, spoke out in favour of culling.
Yeah.
Tell us a bit about that. So how exactly do we cull sharks? How many are we talking about? How's it done?
Which types of sharks?
Is it every shark or...
Well, and look, these are all really great questions, ladies. And, that's why it's just so complex, this topic. And, look, there is no doubt that we have seen more sharks this summer than we have seen previously.
Actual sharks.
Actual
off
sharks.
Our coast.
Yes. But can I just preface the reason why? So Surf Life Saving, we run a shark surveillance management program on behalf of government. So every year we fly drones at 50 nominated locations where there's a bit of high-frequency shark movements, and we look for sharks. That's our job. And we only look for 3 target sharks. It's a white shark, it's a tiger shark, and it's a bull shark, because all 3 sharks are predominantly involved in serious bite incidents. And we see everything else, like with whaler sharks and hammerheads and things like this as well, on grey nurses. But they're the 3 we predominantly look at. Now, after the attacks, the government almost doubled our capability because the outcry from the community, we need more surveillance. And there's shark nets, there's smart drum lines, and then there's drones. Drones are the most effective out of all of them. So we fly at 80 locations and we fly 7 days a week. So, and to put that in context, since the beginning of summer, we've done around 44,000 flights since summer. We've seen around 1,100 sharks, and out of the 1,100, pilots have had to enact what we call a countermeasure around 250 times. And a countermeasure could be close the beach, set the beach siren off, the shark alarm. All our drones have speakers and sirens, so the drones will drop down above you both when you're swimming, set a siren off. if it's a really serious situation, the drone pilots will actually talk to you both in the water
Really?
and
If
say,
you have
ladies,
some serious mental health issues, I can imagine that would be.
yeah.
It's like talking to me.
Well, if you think you're hearing a voice from above,
Yeah, that's right. Wow.
you are, but it's all with the greatest intent.
Yeah.
So we are seeing more sharks because we're actually looking for more out there in itself.
Okay.
But this topic about shark culling, like, it is emotive.
Mm.
The coast, it's a bit weird. The coast is our workplace, our place of work. But this is also the marine creatures' place as well.
Lounge
They've
room.
been there long before us. They're part of a broader
Kitchen.
ecosystem. And when we talk about shark culling, we would ask the question, well, what type of shark? How big does a shark have to be culled? How many? In what locations would it need to be culled? It's something that we'd have to leave it up to the scientists to decide. But the beauty of having the drones is we can identify a shark, and we can watch the shark and close the beach, keep an eye on the shark, then open the beach when it moves off. No one's been injured, no one's been hurt, the creature hasn't been hurt. Even with the smart drum lines, when those sharks are caught on smart drum lines, the way that they're devised is they're able to catch and release and tag the shark unharmed, tow it out to sea away from the location and release it as well. So I think, there's always going to be two camps. People say, kill the sharks. The other people saying, well, wait a minute, they're just part of the broader ecosystem.
Correct. How would you actually go about killing a shark?
Well, again, it's not my forte.
Good.
It's probably
Thank you.
reassuring.
Yes.
However, I would imagine it just would be like a catch. They would just like target sharks as commercial fishermen would, and catch them and
I
then
see.
I guess euthanize them. But again, it's the type of shark. You can't just knowing how all this system operates. You can't put a bait in the water that's only a white shark is going to take that bait. It could be an innocent grey nurse. It could be a wobbegong. So how can you determine what would be the correct type of shark? But again, the scientists would understand that because we do know there has been a higher frequency of bull sharks because of massive rain events, and it's really driven the sharks out of the rivers, out into the ocean intersection between rivers and the ocean with the dirty water, and they have been involved in the majority of the instances of shark attacks.
Yeah.
So how many bull sharks would swim in the same area at one time?
Well, again, I think it just depends on the area and the amount of food and everything as well. When we have our drones up, sometimes we might spot a pack of 30, 40 sharks, only smaller ones, but normally most recent one was a big pack up at Swansea Belmont of hammerheads. But they're only juvenile ones. Other times, it just depends. We may see one shark, we may see two or three together just cruising along. So I don't think it's a definitive science, but ladies, in regards to, I know there's going to be this many sharks at this location, so we're going to go and try and catch them.
Trim them down.
Yeah, so how can you do that? So people that are calling for culling the sharks, are they thinking go and kill a pack of 30 sharks, or are they thinking there's one lone ranger out there?
Well, I think sometimes people talk about if there's been a shark bite attack and it's been fatal, the Department of Marine Industries and Regional Development, they'll settle their smart drum lines straight away. So they have contractors go out there and settle these smart drum lines in the hope that they will catch the offending shark. And if they catch the offending shark, then a decision is made on whether that shark should be, I guess, euthanized or tagged and released somewhere else. But I can't remember an instance where a smart drum line's been set after an attack that quickly and you could definitively say that was the shark that was in.
Yeah, exactly. I was just going to say, how do you know it's that shark? Does it have something
he's got
hanging out of its
wearing
back
glasses or
is it got a target on its head or something?
Yeah.
And it's interesting because that was the first I'd actually heard when you say it's almost like a perfect storm of conditions over summer where there was a lot of rain. I didn't realise that meant that the sharks actually came out of the river systems into the ocean, because I would have thought that they were two different kinds of saline water and fresh, and that this is why there were all those bull sharks around.
Now, the bull sharks, there was definitely a greater frequency of sightings and of bull sharks, and because bull sharks come out into that dirty, turbid water, because it's more fish activity. So they can get in there and hunt the fish, but because it's dirty water, there's not the delineation of what's a fish and what's a human swimming in there. And obviously in a lot of the rivers have a higher frequency of bull sharks, as does Sydney Harbour. Sydney Harbour is full of bull sharks.
Yoicks.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's not
right.
when you
Don't
see
swim
people
in
swimming in the harbour, you're going to think,
Yeah.
Okay.
I would swim in the harbour, but only in a netted enclosure.
yeah. Well, it's interesting because at Vaucluse there is, of course, that shark netted area.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, these kids were jumping off rocks just around the corner, which is incredibly tragic.
Right.
But
Okay.
but a lot of them were saying what you said earlier almost was like, well, we're in the ocean, it's their place. Like we're just, visiting. So you kind of have to take that under advisement, don't you?
Yeah. Well, and I think you just need to accept that. I mean, so, case in point, just recently we held our big state championships surf life-saving event up at Swansea Belmont, and we have around nearly 4,000 competitors. And so we obviously have a lot of water safety up there because of just the nature of the event. But a lot of it is drone coverage as well, because of the heightened risk of shark activity. And we saw quite a few sharks up there whilst we're having the event. Sometimes we're able to keep the event running, people in the water because we knew the type of sharks. Other times we saw a couple of really big ones, and we'd have to pull all the competitors out of the water until we could track these larger sharks off and around the corner.
But are sharks actually interested in people?
Well, and are they attracted to the sounds of splashing and things?
Like, would we normally be part of their food chain, or not really?
Talking to the DPI scientists, the
Sorry,
Department
Steve.
of Primary Industry, so they incredibly intelligent, smart people, and really interesting when we talk about this. And so humans aren't in the food chain of sharks. Yeah, so
Really? Okay.
But sharks use a bite as a sensory mechanism to determine what something is.
Okay.
Oh.
Right.
So, my understanding is a white shark would just come in and bite and then think, no, I'm not interested in that, and move off. But unfortunately, it could be like a really catastrophic fight.
Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Bull sharks are like rabid dogs of the ocean. They are really aggressive and will come back and again and again in an attack. So,
Right.
so it's just, it's not, people think sharks are looking for humans. They're not looking for humans. Just
Right.
unfortunately, some of us are in the wrong place at the wrong time.
We swim in the wrong place.
So in that movie Jaws, you saying that wasn't true? That once he got a taste of people, he came back for more?
I couldn't say, I'm not the scientist, but I doubt that's true. Yes.
Okay, I'm going with you.
Hollywood
I'm
would
going
take
with-
advantage
Yeah,
of
that's
that.
weird. Yeah. And so, Steve, what are your thoughts about culling versus, I don't know, more drones or putting up
Love it.
shark nets? Or
Look, I'd say, really, and we've always stated this when we're asked about, the efficacy of shark nets, whether they work or whatever. We would say that we would just support anything that enhances the safety of swimmers in the water. And as I said, currently at the moment in New South Wales, we have the most mature shark management program out of any state and territory in Australia. So I'll just put that out. So successive governments have run really great shark management programs, and the current government have been resourcing that right up. And it's a multi-layered thing. So if there was a decision to cull sharks, well, would be based on, I guess, scientific data. Surf Life Saving wouldn't have an approval or a non-approval of the process. We would just work in with the government in saying that sharks are just part of the ecosystem within the ocean. And I
Absolutely.
think if you take a shark out, then something else has to be affected in there as well.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
also, I think, like if you've killed 10 sharks out of 200, well, what difference is that going to make? Because they're just sort of going to still swim in the ocean and still be a threat. And what are you going to do? Kill all of them? I mean,
yes.
Yeah. How do they decide what a cull should actually be?
Yeah, I just think moving forward, I think just technology is probably more of the greater answer to this in regards to greater surveillance, greater warnings, people's awareness. So I have to say, after that spate of shark bites, people's awareness in regards to dangers of swimming in dirty water, swimming at river mouths or creek mouths, people really had that in the forefront of their mind. So I don't think I've seen a greater level of awareness of shark activity that we saw over the summer period. But conversely, there was also a really great level of anxiety about shark activity.
Right.
Yes. Yes,
People
indeed.
too scared to go in the water.
Yeah.
So Is Australia the country with the biggest shark problem, or are there other countries around the world that have similar problems?
I couldn't definitively tell you that. All I know is with your opening comments about the frequency of serious or fatal shark incidents, since 25, 26, we haven't seen that for a long time. And the ones that occurred in that 2-week period, with the 4 that we had, were in really turbid, dirty water conditions. Whereas the year before that, the 2 that you've referenced, were in blue sky, clear water, both attributed, I believe, to white sharks.
The drones, when you're looking through a drone, I've often wondered this, and you're looking down on the ocean, can you actually, it's easy to see the sharks swimming from
definitely.
above.
Yeah. So we see all manner of marine life out there. So,
wow.
So we obviously see whale migrations. We see big whale sharks, leatherback turtles, swimming around, dolphin pods. So providing there's a degree of clarity in the water, we're able to see quite a fair part through the depth of the water column to identify the sharks.
So is that part of the problem where a river meets the ocean? Is it's dirtier water and you can't actually see?
Can't actually see it,
right.
Yeah. So what other methods are there? We've heard of this thing called a shark smart app. I mean, there's an app for everything, but what does it do? What does it do?
Okay.
Does it work?
Well,
tell us.
Actually, it does, and it's a great app. It was developed by the government. It's called the Shark Smart app. Go onto your Google App Store and download it. And what it does is you can just put into the Shark Smart app your location. So if you're at Lennox Head, for example, type in Lennox Head, and the Shark Smart app tracks all the tagged sharks. So where there's what they call a VR4G listening station. So there's these listening station devices that are up and down the coastline. And if a tagged shark, a shark that's been caught and has been tagged, swims within 500-metre radius of that VR4G listening station, it sets off a ping on the Shark Smart app. So it will tell you that a tagged 4-metre white shark is off the beach somewhere, within 500 metres of that listening station. So when our pilots identify sharks, we type that into the app. The app will say a shark sighted at Cronulla Beach. And our pilots are trained to identify the species of sharks. So there's specific pilots trained to say it's a white shark or it's a tiger or a bull shark. And that is downloaded up into the Shark Smart app and has all these other great information on it as well. So it's one thing that we would really, we do. We strongly advocate to everyone. Download it. It's got great information there. Some people are really curious and love having it. Other people will turn it off sometimes because at some locations the app will just keep on activating all the time because there's this one tagged shark that will just swim around and around and around this device. And so it might be that there's 100 sharks there. It's just the one shark just being naughty, swimming past it all.
Doing donuts.
Yeah, it knows. That shark knows what it's doing. Absolutely. How do you tag a shark?
Yeah, so and again, really great technology. So with the smart drum lines, when a shark takes the bait off the drum line, it electronically activates an alarm. So the alarm, the nearest fisherman contractor that's contracted by the Department of Foreign Industries needs to get out there within a certain period of time. They'll get out there, pull the shark in, and they'll tag it, take a sample of it. They roll the shark over, it puts it to sleep a little bit, and so they do what they have to do with the tagging. Then they tow the shark out to sea, and then they release it. So it's not on a barbed hook. They can release it and everything. Yeah. So it's
who puts their hand up to do that?
I'd love to do that. Yeah.
Okay.
So tag actually go. Where do they put it? Do they put it in the middle of their mouth?
No.
On a fin.
They just put it on the back of the dorsal fin.
Okay.
So it's a really interesting. And then through the app, they can actually then track where the shark is. And so if you go onto your laptop and go Google's Shark Smart app, it actually shows where they've tracked sharks and some are the really big ones. They'll tag them here. They'll swim over to New Zealand for a holiday.
Wow.
They might go from there to South Africa, then come back again. And
that's
it's amazing, like the shark migration movements. Yeah.
How do they live? Like, I guess it's all different lengths of time, but
Yeah, well, it depends how many people want to cull them, I guess.
yeah, not long.
But yeah, no, I couldn't tell you. I wouldn't know.
Yeah, right.
And so, do we have any idea of what percentage of, say, white sharks have been tagged already?
No.
Too
And
hard.
I hear this
Yeah.
question all the time about, well, how many have you tagged? And
Yeah,
you
who
just
knows?
wouldn't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're always having babies, aren't they? So
Well, exactly right. Yes.
We've heard that Surf Lifesaving New South Wales is actually one of Australia's largest volunteer organisations. So what does your role actually involve, like as CEO?
So we are the largest surf life-saving organisation in the Southern Hemisphere. So we have a bit over 84,000 members and we have around 129 surf clubs. Now, we're not just a life-saving organisation, we're also an emergency service. So we get responded to floods because obviously our people work in water and that's our bread and butter. So we assist the State Emergency Service with flood response. We assist the Rural Fire Service with response up and down rivers and around the coastline for bushfire relief. We do a huge amount of work with water safety awareness and education with those communities that are more at risk from drowning. So we work a real lot in Western Sydney and Southwestern Sydney with the culturally and linguistically diverse communities. We are a big first aid provider, so we run one of the largest commercial first aid businesses in New South Wales where we train first aid. We run the largest professional lifeguarding business in Southern Hemisphere, so we contract our lifeguards out to a lot of the coastal councils to work during the middle of the week. The organisation is so wide and so deep in its capability.
So you don't really do much or anything?
No,
Just talking to people on
Breezy
podcasts
job.
and-
Yeah,
like the guys that go and tag the sharks.
That's right, yeah.
Really easy, really easy.
Go
Okay.
fishing. Steve, I want to know if you were in the surf and you were swimming and, you saw a dorsal fin that you knew, because you're smart and you work in the industry, was a great white shark, what would you actually do?
I'd probably die of fright, to tell the truth.
Oh, so you're human after all.
Yeah.
Phew.
If you really must know.
Yeah, really.
And I'd love to say, you know what, I would very calmly turn around and
Right.
want to make too much noise, head
Right.
back into shore.
Right.
But in reality, I would probably think I would panic and just swim as fast as I could back into shore.
Break the world record.
I would, it's probably one of my greatest nightmares. Like, I'm in the water all the time.
Yeah.
I'm a volunteer lifesaver myself. I love the water.
Yep.
But yeah, like I would not want to be in that situation. No, I wish I
is
could
what-
give you some really good answer, but it's not.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
Here's the 3-step plan or something.
Yeah.
But nothing.
But so look, ultimately, what is your best advice to help prevent the tragedies of last summer? Because we know that unfortunately these things are always going to happen. And I think it's interesting when you were talking about different ethnicities and things like that. We often hear about people who are killed in rock fishing and accidents and drownings and all that sort of thing have been from different countries around the world and have come to Australia, perhaps aren't as savvy water-wise as we've been brought up in Australia to be. But so what do you think is sort of a best solution, not culling, perhaps, to prevent the tragedies of last summer?
Well, there's a few. Yeah, so there's a few, and this sounds so ironic, but I would say that the safest place to swim in summer, if you're concerned about sharks and shark activity, is swim at a patrolled beach swim where or near the red and yellow flags, because the lifeguards and lifesavers are there and they're always there on duty surveilling the water for people in distress. But they obviously also see everything else. And even today I saw 4 beaches shut this morning because different lifeguards at different locations had spotted sharks. So,
Whoa. Okay.
so it just means there's more probability of a shark being spotted at these locations.
Right.
Also, at these locations, the majority of them, we have drones flying all the time as part of the shark management program. So the Shark Smart app actually tells you which beaches are being surveilled by drones.
Okay.
So now drones isn't going to guarantee a shark attack won't occur, but definitely will help identify some if they're there. But importantly, it's just about being shark smart. Like, I would not go swimming after a big rainfall event because the amount of water that's getting pushed out from creeks and rivers makes the water really turbid, and that makes it really clear and misty, and that really generates high shark activity, particularly bull sharks. And, you hear the advice, if you see big bait balls of fish in the water, just don't go in, because there's obviously something swimming around eating the bait ball fishes as well. So there's just some simple steps I think you can take to be more shark smart.
And are you actually against culling, or do you think there is actually a place for it?
Look, as I said, organisationally, I'd state that anything to do with public safety, we would support. Personally, I don't believe in shark culling, but again, it just comes down to what's best for public safety.
Is there enough education in the schools, do you think, around being shark aware?
Yeah, so again, it sounds like I'm promoting the New South Wales government here, but they have a Shark Smart program, and they take trailers around to a lot of the schools, and they talk about shark behaviour and the types of sharks, and just basically induct people into what sharks do and how they interact. So I know that is being done, but again, I think you have more chance of being bitten by a bee than it is by a shark. So unfortunately, it's just so horrific, the shark bite interaction. So look, I think every time there's a shark attack, we have this conversation.
Yeah, okay, wow. Now, my friend Robert volunteers as a surf lifesaver down at Clovelly Beach.
Yep.
What does he do involve?
Okay, so, one, he's joined a fantastic surf club.
He has. He knows.
With a great CEO.
Yes.
And Clovelly's just got the best sea pool in front of the surf club there to swim in. Yep. If you ever want to go see the best sea life in there and snorkel, go in that pool.
It's fabulous.
It's fabulous. But no, so he would be down there. He would be rostered on patrols, and they'd say which weekends we want you to patrol on what days. Gets all the gear. Gets trained up in first aid, CPR, which are all really great life skills, not just to use on the beach, but a lot of our lifesavers use their first aid and CPR skills more off the beach in the home or work environment than they do on the beach.
Yeah.
They get to interact with the community. They get to meet so many people. They actually get to be, I guess, real life hero lifesavers to be on the beach. So. Look, it is a great volunteer vocation. I don't say that because we're looking for more members. I'm just saying that it's a really wonderful organisation.
That's great. How often would you be asked to be on patrol?
Well, as often as you want.
Oh,
okay.
Right.
Open-ended.
So you could get all the accolades and only do it once a year. Okay, I get that.
Probably more than once a year.
Oh, okay.
Look great with one of those caps on.
Yeah. But don't forget too, then he gets trained up, if he wants to, on how to drive the inflatable rescue boat. So
that's exciting.
The rubber.
He can either be the driver or it can be the crewie that does a lot of the rescues, pulls people out. Or if he wants to be a little bit more adventurous, he can be trained how to drive the jet skis. So that's
even better.
That's really great fun. Or if Robert thinks, you know what, I'm not that good a swimmer, we can actually train him to fly drones. And so he can sit on the patrol, still in his red and yellow, and fly the drones. Or if he says, you know what, I actually like this first aid thing, we have positions on the patrol where you just do first aid. So you don't have to be the big bronze Aussie to be a lifesaver. And we probably, out of the 22,000 lifesavers, we have around 43% are female. So it's just it's not a solid male bastion. We have some of the best female lifesavers. Are amazing.
Yeah. Okay. Fantastic.
Yeah,
That's very good to know. How old do you have to be?
Well, you can join as a nipper at 6 years of age. You go through the nipper program, and then you can do your surf rescue certificate at 13, and then you do your bronze medallion at 18.
Perfect.
Wow. So if you ever see a 6-year-old swimming out to you, you know you're in
That's
trouble.
it.
Yes.
With a big rope or something.
That's exactly right.
A floaty. Yeah.
Steve, I just want to know, I mean, we were talking a bit earlier about, this education and awareness. In terms of like young kids at school, like say 13-year-olds or, I've often thought like in the week before the summer school holidays, does it make sense to have a real sort of hard push on education about hey guys, look, we know you want to go and jump in pools and swim in the ocean, swim in the harbour, but this is the reality. And is that the way we can hit home to people that there is this risk and they are taking a risk if they swim in the harbour?
Yeah, look, we run a lot of, actually an enormous amount of school education programs anyhow.
Right.
So we're in the schools all the time, and our programs are actually part of the school curriculum if schools elect to utilise those as well. So we do try and get as much coverage and spread for as many school kids. Even with the inbound tourists, we just signed a new great partnership with Qantas, and it just makes sense. You know, Qantas, the most Australian airline, Surf Life Saving, the most Australian organisation, and so they do in-flight messaging on the way in now for tourists talking about water safety as well. So,
wow, that's
it's
great.
really good. Yeah,
That's fantastic, because I just find it so puzzling that people, you know, just that there's no patrols, or they swim so far away from the patrols and they just go in really deep and they can't actually really swim. And it seems just illogical to keep doing that. Yeah.
I would blame, in part, not solid, but with social media, because people want to go to these most secluded, idyllic beaches, and they're absolutely beautiful. But some of these beaches that are voted some of the prettiest beaches in Australia are also voted some of the most dangerous.
Yeah.
For drownings.
And why is that? Is it rips?
Rips, just the rips. They call it the morphology of the ocean floor. So just how the holes and gutters, the isolation. There's no patrols there. There's no surveillance. Maybe no connectivity. To be able to dial 0. There's a whole raft of factors.
Yeah. Well, Steve, so are you going to go for a swim after this interview, or?
I actually am. Yeah.
Yeah.
At Clavelli.
I'll go down and see Robert at Clavelli. Yes.
Yeah, that's right. Give him a few tips.
Yeah.
A few pointers, but not white ones.
Yeah.
Steve, that was very bad.
That was very bad. Sorry.
Yeah.
But Steve, look, we really appreciate it. It's been fascinating. We wish we'd spoken to you just a bit earlier because we couldn't get hold of you, but straight after summer. But it was a terrible summer. It was very devastating, and we just kept reading story after story about, and especially I think that 12-year-old, it was just, it was terrible. Like, he was on life support for a week, and, and then they pulled the plug. So it was really devastating. But we really appreciate your points of view on culling versus not culling, because I think it's a very emotive and contentious question every time there's a shark attack.
Yeah, correct.
True. It's a bit fraught. And may I say, on behalf of Australia, we'd love to thank you and the Surf Life Saving New South Wales for the
hard work you do.
Incredible amount of work that is done. It's just wonderful to see.
And the fact that you volunteer as CEO, which is fantastic.
Only because I don't want to miss out on the fun. But as I said, like we have some of the best lifesavers in Australia. And every summer we mobilise 22,000 lifesavers just on the beach, apart from all our lifeguards as well.
Wow.
They just do like a fantastic job.
Wow.
Like it's.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone
thank you.
listening who's a lifesaver.
And
Beautiful.
Steve, thanks for chatting with us today on She Wasn't Born Yesterday.
Thank you, ladies.
Gorgi, thanks for listening. We hope you enjoyed this ep as much as we did.
And why not join us for more insider goss and sneaky pics on our Facebook group called, strangely enough, She Wasn't Born Yesterday.
So jump on the socials and see you next time, or rather, chat soon.
Hope 1032. Thanks for listening.